everybody? It's your girl Pam with 2200 Taps. Hey, listen, I had an incredible guest last week, but if you're listening later on down the road, it may be, a year from now, it may be a different episode from now. But I had Tom Cruz, and Tom is a Army veteran, incredible story. And I have the privilege right now to be sitting in front of his wife and his son, his 10-year-old son, Holden, and his wife, Heather. And together they're going to help us share their side, or Heather's going to help us share her side of the story, and Holden's going to kind of help us see how he's there to help support his dad and all the good stuff that comes with it. And together we're just going to capture the entire family dynamic from front to back, and even with a little man here. So thank you guys so much for joining me. I'm so seriously grateful that y'all are here today.
You're welcome. It's our pleasure.
Well, I guess we'll kick off with Holden here in a minute, but Heather, you guys are in Ohio, correct?
Yeah, in Hudson. It's about 45 minutes from Cleveland.
Okay, cool. Cool. So you said, and I know we kind of caught up before we hit record, but you're going to be home very soon with Tom, and I can't wait to see the whole family together here pretty soon.
Yes. I will be finishing school August 4th.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Well, hey, you know what? I can't wait to dive in with you. But first, we're going to dive in with Holden. Is that cool?
Mm-hmm.
All right, Holden, thank you for being on today, man.
Uh-huh.
He's like, yeah.
You guys speak, honey.
Thank you.
Oh, so yeah, we're going to do this and see where it goes. But first off, how old are you, Holden?
10.
You're 10. What grade are you in?
4th.
4th. So I heard you got some special skills. You're a very special kid. What does that look like?
Taekwondo. Helping my dad, basically, yeah.
Helping your dad? Very cool. So go ahead.
What I do to help him is I basically play fight with him. I try and annoy him to get playing video games with me. Buy me Robux or something. And I get him to do stuff with me. I'm like, Dad, if you don't play, it's like, play with me outside. I swear to God, we're gonna play fight.
Who wins? Do you win or him?
You already know the answer. Him.
Him?
He's an Army veteran. I'm only a purple belt.
Well, I heard you do other stuff for your dad. Some other special stuff besides that.
We go for walks. I pet the dog.
You pet the dog?
Yeah.
What about when he's feeling sad and stuff? What is it that you do to help him around that?
Hug him, cuddle him, tell him to cuddle me.
Yeah?
I don't really do that much.
Oh, I wouldn't. I don't know about that. I've heard some good stuff about you, kid.
You draw pictures too.
I draw him a lot of pictures.
You draw him a lot of pictures? That's pretty cool. So, let me see here. I might have to edit this part. So okay, so when you're with your parents or with your dad, when you see him, how do you know hey, maybe I should step in to help him? What do you see in your dad that it's hey, I can help him. Let me go help him real quick. What does that look like?
Like a leg shaking, or him yelling, or him flaring his eye a little bit, flashing his eye.
Yeah.
He clicks his pen a lot. Or his arm will start to shake, or maybe he'll start slamming his fist on the table.
So
It doesn't slam it.
Yeah. So how does it make you feel knowing that you're helping him when he needs that?
Proud.
Radical?
Proud.
Proud?
Yes.
I love that, which is still pretty radical. So has this helped you be more open to talking to your parents, when you feel sad or angry or confused?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Well, very cool, man. So what else has your mom and dad taught you about helping your dad in other areas? Tell me a story about your math test, I heard that's something kind of cool.
The math test and the kid that you helped?
Yeah,
this kid was crying because he kept on being he kept on crying because of literally 5 times 2. He kept on crying, so I came over there and gave him a hug.
Yeah.
What'd you tell him?
I didn't tell him anything. I said, good job.
Oh, how'd that make you feel to know you helped out your friend?
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, little man. Well, those are pretty simple questions, and we're going to get on to your mom here in a minute. But thank you for being here and so supportive of your dad and your mom. And before we go, is there anything that I haven't asked you that you want everybody to know about you and your special skills and talents?
I like capybaras and I like turtles.
Yeah?
I like turtles.
You like turtles?
Hmm.
Do you like you like the Ninja Turtles?
When it comes to
No. He said no.
my daddy, we talk about PTSD a lot.
Yeah, so we talk about that way too much. I'm basically half PTSD at this point.
Oh my God.
My name is basically my last name, PTSD expert.
Expert.
But you know that it's not scary, don't you?
Yeah, most kids just run away and hide under the bed with a stick.
But you don't run away. Why don't you run away?
Because my dad says, don't run from the fire, go towards the fire.
I love that. I love that. I think that's a freaking mic drop right there, kid. Thank you so much, man. I can't wait to meet you in person. You look like a freaking rock star.
Thank you, thank you.
All right. Well, thanks for being here, man.
Yep,
Go
bye.
ahead, buddy.
Bye.
You can take your computer into Logan's room if you want.
Nay, nay.
Well, we'll have to like edit some of these little parts out.
I'm sure.
Yeah, it's all good. He did great. That was awesome. Well, Heather, thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
When Tom told me the story, I was just like, what can I do to get Heather on? Like, I just because man, for those that don't know Tom's story, you've got to go listen to it in preparation for this one. And if not, you could hear it backwards or forwards, doesn't matter. It's an incredible story. So if we could backtrack just a little bit, how'd you meet Tom?
Well, we went to high school together.
Oh, cool.
We actually weren't friends. We're not really in the same group or anything. And then Facebook came along and he saw me and I congratulated him on getting a promotion and he popped up in the little IM and, said, hi, thank you. And we started talking and here we are.
That's awesome. So I know, you're military, fiance at the time, would that be right?
Yes.
Okay.
It is.
But still, what was that like, just knowing like he was going on deployments and you'd see him every so often, kind of juggling that relationship leading up to what ultimately we're going to talk about today?
Well, I knew what I was getting into when we started seeing each other, and he lived in Maryland and I lived in Ohio then, before I moved in with him. And because we had that little bit in between, it did get us used to having to, adapt to not being together every single day. But no matter what, you tend to worry. And there's nothing that you can do about that. So I would always tell myself that he's very good at his job. Right now, his track record is pretty darn good, and he's going to do everything he can to come home to me. So yeah. I just tried to look at it like that anytime that we had to be separated or he had to go do something. And
I'm going outside.
I got yeah, no. I got distracted. No, totally. Well, let's talk about just the events kind of leading up to his breakdown, to you kind of seeing what he was going through and ultimately how you were able to help him snap out of his process of everything.
Okay. Well, we were having a disagreement. It was not even important. And I told him that I'd had enough. I was not going to sit up all night and fight with him, and then I was going to go to bed. And he left, and he came back a little bit later, and I was upstairs, and he said, "Get up, we're going to talk now." And I said, "No, we're not. We're going to save this for tomorrow." And he said, "No, we're going to do it now." And I heard him pull something out from behind him, and I heard him chamber around, and it was a gun. And he picked me up out of bed, and he said, "We're going to talk now." And he put my hands behind me, and he handcuffed me, and he wanted to talk. And you can't really resist that. So we talked. We talked for about 4.5 hours or so. The hardest part was that every time I would get him to start calming down, somebody would decide to call in, send a text message, interfere in some way, and it would start all over again. So it could take me 20 minutes to calm him down. And then the only thing that I did have going for me was a battery on a cell phone can only last so long. And he had taken the chargers out of the house, so I didn't have to worry about that. After a while, I just told him, I was like, stop answering the phone, stop touching everything. You need to just sit here with me, and you just need to talk to me, and you need to tell me everything that has gotten you to this point, like everything that has hurt you, and why you feel that you don't want to be here anymore, because I need you. And so he did, and I sat there and I listened. And I always tell people, when you're dealing with a person in that state, the most important thing that you can do, the thing that's going to help them more than anything, is if you sit there and you listen to them, and you're listening to them to hear what they're saying and not to respond.
Right. Hear
what they're saying, and what they're going through, because nobody else has.
No, thank you for sharing that, because we were talking about that, and we were talking about how when people fight with each other and literally fight, they're just yelling at each other, but at the end of the day, both of them would just want to be heard.
Yeah.
But we're too busy yelling at each other. And Tom made a statement, and I've always said this too. He said the thing that you said, basically in a nutshell, that helped him was like, what do you need?
Yeah.
Because he's felt like nobody in his world at that point had really sat with him and was like, what do you need? It's always about what you should do, what you need to do, how you need to do it. And it's like, no, dude, like, my feelings matter.
He was a fixer, like his whole life, with everything that he's ever done, his parents, his brothers, friends, his, past relationships and everything. He'd always been the one that he fixed everything.
Yeah.
And to a certain extent, I mean, we're still in that, like he does a lot of things to help me, because I have a lot going on right now. Mm-hmm. But it's not like that all the time. We take our turns. Like, a couple of years ago, he may have needed me to get him through because he was deployed. Right now, I'm trying to finish school, so he's helping me get through that part. And this sounds funny, but in a lot of ways, I think it taught us that we didn't have to be the person that always helped everybody. Like, we learned to lean on each other and to trust that, like, he had my back and I had his. And that was something new for both of us. So it wasn't a good thing and it wasn't a bad thing. It was something that definitely helped us learn, though. And I can't ever feel bad that I learned something, especially if it helped me.
That's insane. And this is before Holden was born, correct?
This is before Holden was born. This was before we were even married. I could have easily have gone back to Ohio and been like, I can't do this. And in fact, when I finally did talk him out of the house, I didn't promise him that we were going to get married. I didn't promise him that everything was going to be fine, but I did promise him that I'd be his friend no matter what. And the next day, after I got myself out of a very long psych evaluation, I found out he was going to Walter Reed, and I said, okay, well, I'll be there. And I got stuck in traffic,
Oh boy.
and DC traffic is horrible. And I got there and there was like only 20 minutes left of visiting time. And he didn't think I was going to come. And, when you get there, there's only these two little windows in the door. And he saw me through them, and he just kind of like slid down the front of the counter and he started crying. And I came in and I wasn't scared of him. I didn't flinch or anything. I just sat down in front of him and I was like, I'm here. Do you want to talk? And I came every day after that, twice a day, for 4 hours in the morning and for 3 hours at night. And I would sit there with him and talk or whatever he needed. And I never left. But the first day, it's kind of a cute story, but the first day that I went to see him, I had to say goodbye. And his doctor's like, well, you can go ahead and hug her if she wants you to. And he went to hug me and he kissed my forehead. And he said, I love you. And we always played this game. He'd say, I love you. And I'd say, I love you more. Mm-hmm. And he said, I love you. And I said, you know what? I love you more. And he said, he looked at his doctor and he said, I can never argue with her again. He's like, after everything that I put her through, he's like, it's the first time in my life I think that somebody's ever said I love you. And I really believed it. And I remember taking his hand and holding it for a second and said, and I'll see you tomorrow morning. I promise. And I won't be late. And I turned around and I left. And when I got out of there, I started just sobbing because I thought, he has a mom and brothers and he was married before and all this stuff. And this is the first time that he truly believed when somebody said that they loved him. And that's what broke me, was that it took that long and something like that. But
oh my gosh. I'm trying not to like cry over here. He warned me. He's like, you're going to need, or she's going to need tissues, or I'm like, probably me. Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I think people try to look at things like that. And like he always says, people tell him things all the time. Like, he doesn't deserve to have the family he has. And he doesn't, he didn't deserve to continue in the military or to sit here and try and help other people. And I think that's really unfair.
Yeah.
Some of the people that you're going to learn from the most are the people who went through some of the absolute worst. And he didn't only go through the absolute worst, but he came out of the other side of it. And he's tried to make himself the absolute best that he can be since then. And in spite of so many things in between, because like our relationship is not always roses, I mean, I live in Ohio right now and he's in Texas, and I got to give him credit because this past year has been a heck of a year. I'm in an advanced program and I am a perfectionist like him, and I don't want to lose my 4.0. And that man has flown home to make sure that he's at every single taekwondo tournament for our son, has surprised me left and right. And any time that I've done anything that seemed like a big deal, he made sure that flowers arrived at work or just whatever to let me know that while he wasn't here, he's here. And, with everything that he has to deal with and do, I think that both of us realizing that sometimes the little things are big things.
Oh, totally. When you stop and you kind of celebrate those little victories, they're actually big wins.
Yeah.
Let me ask you that. Oh my God. I'm like, I've got like, I always have like this thing where I'm just going to ask as we go, but I'm so fixated on just like in the moment with y'all when I can envision you being there at Walter Reed. I can because I know Tom, I can physically see him like dropping. Like, I'm just like, I'm trying not to lose it over here. It's freaking phenomenal. And,
well, you can ask me anything. I'm an open book.
Yeah, no. Well, I was, it's like, I'm getting teary-eyed over here. So first of all, thank you for sharing all that amazingness and and you can take us as deep as you want to. We can do whatever roller coaster ride you want to set up on the show. It's totally cool. But what I want to ask you, because I've been finding myself asking a lot of people here lately that I never used to really ask. You being the woman that you are, which is a pretty damn strong woman that I'm looking at and interviewing, I gotta say, I've got goosey bumps right now.
Oh, thank you.
Seriously, like little hairs are standing up. How did you manage to, okay, I've got Tom here. I've got this. Made these commitments to make sure I show up to be there for him. I've got all these things that I want to do for him. How did you what did you do to still take care of you at the end of the day to make sure that you were okay? Because taking care of somebody, especially going through that event with him, which I'm telling you guys, you go listen to this episode, going through that event, and it's pretty traumatic. I mean, your everyday person would be like, F you, I'm out. But you chose to stay. You chose to see it through. You remind me a lot of my best friend, by the way, to make sure he was okay because you still loved him. You still cared about him. What did you do to make sure that you, Heather, were taking care of you at the same time?
Well, I didn't know anybody really in Maryland, so I was very isolated, I guess. I was very focused for that first 2 weeks or so on just, we're going to putting one foot in front of the other. We're going to, get there. It'll be fine. Sometimes it was just little things. I wasn't married to him yet. And the only thing that saved me was the fact that he had durable power of attorney and I was his person.
Oh, wow.
So if it wasn't for that, then I wouldn't have even been able to get in there. And thankfully I'm smart enough to know what it means. And I was able to go, no, you can't keep me out. But if it was just something small, like, I've got 2 hours in between this right now, I would go and I would have my nails done. Or I might be coming home and it might be 9 o'clock at night, but I'd be like, okay, well, I'm going to grab sushi. I'm going to take it home with me and I'm going to read and I'm going to take a bath and then I'm going to go to bed because I have to be up tomorrow morning so I can fight traffic again tomorrow. But every night I would write him a little Post-it note with a letter. And I would smuggle in contraband. I was so bad. I smuggled him Hershey Kisses and Three Musketeers bars.
That's love language right there. That's love right there.
To this day.
Uh-oh. She's pulling out a backpack.
Yeah. This is my school backpack, so it's a mess. But, I still make sure he has these packs of gum.
Aww. He's not even in Ohio with you, and you're still, loaded, ready to go. Oh, what is that? Oh, Post-its. She's pulling everything out of her bag.
Oh. I have tons of Post-its all over the place. And I still, when I left last time, I wanted the extra time with him. So I had my Uber driver pick us up at the jail where he was working that day.
Yeah.
And when he turned around to talk to Holden, I left Post-it notes all over his truck so that he would find them when he came out at lunch.
That's the best. Oh my gosh. I need to find somebody like you. Oh my God. I'm just
Holden and I just sent him a pair of capybara socks because they live in little packs and they take care of each other. And we just sent him capybara socks, and because he won't embrace the cowboy boots and hats and stuff there in Texas, they're cowboy capybaras, and they're surrounded by cactuses. And we just send them, and
he just hasn't found the right pair. He has not found the right pair. Tom, we'll get you the right pair, dude. Don't you worry.
It's not for my lack of trying, because when he met me, I'm all country music. I have boots. I have no problem with this.
Oh my God.
He's not embracing it.
Some guys just don't. And I know a few like that, but that is adorable. That is amazing. Seriously, I need to find somebody like you. Seriously. I just when I'm having a crappy day, just leave me a Post-it note. Tell me you love me. And I'm just over the moon. Okay, we got it. And I say that jokingly, but I actually kind of mean it because
Yeah.
I struggle with my own stuff with PTSD and anxiety, depression, all those labels, right? I'm tired of the labels. I want the good labels. Give me a good sticky note because when I have a bad day, it's good to see a good sticky note and a good label.
You know what? I really like how you just said that. Like, you know what? There's so much, and excuse me, but there's so much crap out there.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to focus, and I was guilty of this for a long time until I started back in therapy. And I'm the first one. Tom is very much about, doing photography and artsy stuff. And he really feels that helps him. And I think that's wonderful. It's amazing for him. But I have so much on my plate right now that I can't do my normals. Like I cannot go to the gym whenever I want to. I'm exhausted by the time I come home from work. And I still have Holden to take care of. And then I still have, 57 pages of my ethics book to read before I get to go to bed and start again at 4:00 in the morning. So I am on anxiety medication and I am on antidepressants and I have ADD. So I am on stuff for that. And he doesn't judge me for that. It's what I need. And it has changed my mindset. But I like the way that you said that because you know what? Everybody wants to label you, with even my coffee cup says that wife, mom, nurse. And I am so much more. You're right. Like, damn it, just leave me a nice sticky note.
Give me a good label. Give me a good sticky note.
Give me the good sticky note.
Hell yeah.
Don't know.
Well,
leave me the Hershey kiss.
Well, you set me up for that one, so I'm gonna give you the credit for that. And I truly mean that. And I'm big. Like, dude, I actually hate labels. Don't put me in a box.
No.
Just don't ask me if I'm this or I like so and so. Do I like this person? No. Just no labels, baby. That's how
I do feel like we now, and especially with the newer generation coming up. They really love their labels. Yeah. They make them feel very good.
So does Bud Light.
Like they always talk about like the pronouns and how we make it better. And I'm like, if that makes you comfortable, awesome. You should be who you are and embrace that. But like, why do you only want this like little group of things?
Yeah.
Because like a box can be as big as you want it to be. So why do you want it to be this big when it could be this big?
It could be that big.
Like, I'm sorry, but I don't want to be just like the advocate for suicide awareness or the woman who knows way more about PTSD than she ever thought she would. I don't want people to look at me and be like, oh, she's a nurse, or that I have a specialty in nursing, or, oh, she's just Holden's mom. I'm all those things and I'm more. And I like the fact that I'm at that point now where I realize that I can be a lot of things.
Hell yeah. And you're a first responder, which is pretty kick-ass. Let me ask you this, because I'm curious. Did what you went through with everything, did that have any kind of decision making in you becoming a nurse? I'm just curious.
Actually, it's really funny that you asked me that because I actually joined the healthcare thing during COVID. So when everybody was like, I'm getting out, I was like, I'm coming in. My husband always says, like Holden said, you don't run away from the fire, you run to it.
Yeah.
I was actually in Italy, in Pisa, like 2 weeks before everything closed down.
Ooh.
And I remembered, like, everybody was walking around and they had masks on and stuff. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? But anyway, I was trying to decide what I wanted to do. And I'd been pursuing a psychology degree for a while. And I was so sick and tired of having to pick stupid courses to get through. Like, I'm sorry, but why do you get to tell me that I have to spend another $20,000 for another year of school where you're going to make me take tennis and art history? I lived in Europe for 4 years. I saw it all in real life, and now you want me to look at it in a book?
I know Andre Agassi. I don't need to take tennis.
I'm like, this is stupid. I'm like, and so I was like, what could I possibly
Oh.
do that is helping people the way that I would want to help them, but could possibly also keep me in psych? And I was like, I'm gonna go to nursing school.
Hell yeah.
And so I did. We had just moved into the house that Holden and I live in right now in Ohio. And we literally had no furniture in it. And I sat on our bedroom floor and you have to take an entrance exam to get in, you have to take an exit exam.
Oh, jeez.
And you have to score a certain amount to be able to get in. And I remember sitting there going, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I could do this. I don't know if I can do this. And I took the test, and thank God we don't have to wait like we used to where everything comes in the mail, because I don't know if I would have made it. But like 20 minutes later, my advisor called me, and she was like, Heather, can you put this on speaker so Tom and Holden can hear too? And I was like, sure. And she's like, you guys should be really, really proud. She scored in the 95th percentile.
What?
Welcome to nursing school.
Hell yeah. That's
So
amazing. Wow.
I was not on ADD medication the first time I started, and I was really struggling. And then I found an even more advanced program. And this is gonna sound crazy. I wanted to score higher on the HESI. So I went and I took it again, and I scored higher.
Just because you didn't like what you scored, even though you passed?
Yeah. And I wasn't happy with the school. I knew I was changing schools, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to set all these goals for myself, and I'm going to do everything that I can.
Whoa.
And I had a 4.0 this whole time. Actually, med surg was the first time that I got a 90%, because in nursing school, 93 to 100 is an A,
Mm-hmm.
and like 84 to 93 is a B. So I actually got a B in med surg, and I cried.
That is amazing.
I cried because I was like, I can't believe I got a B. Like, I've gotten all A's, like even in anatomy and pharmacology.
Oh, you were crying because you had a B.
Yeah.
I'm over here saying it's amazing because I'm thinking I'd be getting F's.
No,
Oh,
I
shit.
cried. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, I got a 90%. I can't believe it.
Oh.
And that was like, I was like, no, my GPA is not going to be a 4.0. But
Yeah.
the good news is I'm 1 week away from being done with ethics.
Yes. Good.
And I only have 4 classes left after it. And technically it's really only 3.
Mm-hmm.
And I have hope that this next one's going to be like a little bit more fun, because I'm going into maternity and pediatrics. So
Babies.
babies, and I'm great with babies. We have 7 kids. So
That's what he told me. He said
I
y'all
know.
are quite the blended family, and then you have Holden.
Mhm.
That's amazing.
Yes, I had 4 children from my first marriage. He had 2 from his, and then we had Holden together. And actually, 2 years to the day that Tom had his suicide attempt, we brought Holden home from the hospital.
I remember that.
So like your life, if you want to work at it, if you want that help, and if you really do work at that, like your life can change so much in no time. Just in no time. If you would have told me 2 years ago that I would be finally going, no, I'm not going to be an STNA anymore, which is the CNA for you guys.
Okay.
I'm going to go to nursing school. I would have been like, no, I'm not.
Here you are.
And it was the same thing, like when it came to, having Holden, they gave us like a 3% chance of my getting pregnant.
Wait, that's right, because he said you guys were like, the day that they told you that, y'all were actually giggling.
Yeah, and he's like, okay, well, we'll just keep trying then. And he's like, so you're not going to get pregnant, they said. And I was like, well, did you tell him I am? And he's like, no. He's like, but we are, so.
I guess that the day that they told you that, y'all were giggling because y'all had just found out you were pregnant.
Yeah, we were. It was great. And then we had Holden, and that was 2 years to
the day
he went in.
You know,
anything can happen.
You're right. You're absolutely right. I know, like I can attest to the anniversary connection because I worked in it's in my story, but I worked a really bad search and rescue case August
Mhm.
10th of 2012, and it just like it messed me up. And then was like my downfall, my like just deep dive, not doing good, wanted to kill
Mhm.
myself kind of thing. Just and
Sure.
then I went into a training to help me get my head on right.
Mhm.
And the day I graduated that training, the day I took suicide off the table, was the 2 year anniversary of that case to the
See,
day. It was like,
it was meant to be.
so
That
and
was meant to happen.
I'm glad you said that, and I share that because I think for the listeners, whether you believe in God or not, that's totally on you. Believe in the universe, believe in a tree, believe in a pineapple. I don't care. But
Right.
if you kind of lean into, if you take a step back and just kind of realize like, whoa, maybe those are God's little winks. Maybe that's
Yeah,
the universe's little. Maybe that's like the juice of the pineapple that they talk about. I'm talking about the good
exactly.
stuff, right? So if you, it sounds cheesy, but if you can kind of tie that in with like, oh, that's what that was. Oh,
Mhm.
that's whoa. It is.
Well, Tom always talks about how, like, when he was at Walter Reed and he'd gone through everything that he could possibly go through, there was just this one thing that he really, like, it resounded with him, and it was resiliency training.
Yeah.
One of the things that he learned in it was like to hunt the good stuff. And so when we're having a bad day or one of the kids is or something, and we're like, well, give me three good things that happened because not everything could have been bad today.
Mm-hmm.
Like there has to be something good that you can come up with. And I don't care if it's, you splash in a puddle or they had my chapstick on sale. Like it can be the littlest thing in the world,
Mm-hmm.
but it was still a good thing. Because sometimes you gotta, like Jack says in Titanic, sometimes you gotta make your own magic. So
Yeah. I mean,
it,
and it's finding
you
those
gotta
little
keep,
wins.
yeah.
It's
And
finding those little
sometimes
wins.
like I said, it's not the big stuff. It's the little stuff that really ends up making the biggest impact on you.
Yeah. And honestly, like when you don't, it's your pride.
Mm-hmm.
Leave your ego and your pride at the door, and I promise you, it's so much sweeter on the other side.
It is. At
Um,
any point in time, we've said that, like, we could have given up. We've been so easy for so
oh,
many reasons, just so easy through a lot of stuff that we've done. Like, he was getting a degree at the end of his army career, and he was like, I've only got 3 classes left, and I just don't feel like doing it anymore.
yeah.
And when I was switching schools, I was like, maybe I should just be like, whatever, it's fine. Maybe I should try and do this in Texas. And he's like, no, it takes so much longer in Texas. Do it, just do it.
Just finish.
I was like, no, I'm so sick of all of this. Like I was done. And then I was like, no, I'm not done. I said I was going to do this and I'm going to do it. And that's how we just look at everything. Nope, we're going to do it.
Oh, so that's just the coolest shit ever. So I don't know if you don't like cursing. I curse. I don't know.
I'm married to Tom. What do you think?
I know, but for professional and show purposes, I forgot to ask that earlier. My bad.
Oh, you're fine.
So let me ask you this. So we're making really good time, and man, we've gotten such an amazing plateful already in the few minutes that we've been on. But so you're doing all this, you're going through that. Tom's starting to do some speaking. And how did you and Holden kind of get roped into this, or was this kind of like, hey, we're gonna do this as a family, or what? Because you don't see that a lot.
Well, we were talking about all of the like great motivational speakers that deal in this subject areas of
Hmm.
mental health and everything. And they all have one thing in common. It's one person standing up there telling you their story. But our story wasn't about just one person because it wasn't just one person that it happened to in the end. And we don't address any of it as just one person. This is a family issue.
Yeah.
And us not being forthright with Holden was never going to help him in any way. It's just, instead of hiding it, we always just told them, like, this is what we deal with. And sometimes it's hard. And, it sucks, but just got to keep pushing through. And so he wanted to talk during, I think it was the Suicide Awareness Week, to his troops. And he wanted them to love him or hate him for who he was. So he waited until they got to know him. And he asked me if I would come in and at least be there with him. Mm-hmm. And I was like, sure. And after he got done telling the story, he's like, do you have any questions? And they asked if they could ask me a question. And then people would start coming up and they would talk to both of us. And we looked at each other and we're like, we might have something here. Mm-hmm. Like everybody else, they're just, it's them.
Yeah.
Like we're not just a him or a her, like we're them. And it's both of our story. And it's made us like who we are now. So
I think that's phenomenal. Not fantastic. Well, because here's the thing. You're right. When you really look at it, it's usually just one person talking. Who's the keynote speaker? It's usually one person.
Right.
It's not like a couple or friends or any of that. And you got me thinking. I'm like, I want to get my best friend back on because she, like I said, you remind me of her, and she was my big pivotal person and moment that she helped me through a lot of my stuff. And we weren't even talking. We had a falling out. But with the stuff we were going through, it really helped me want to change top of everything. So, man, well, I feel like when you see the husband and wife dynamic or any dynamic up there, it gives people permission to be like, you know what? Let's lock arms and fight this thing together. You know
what? Yeah. And I really hope that people do kind of take that from us. I hope that people look at us, and I think a lot of couples, and this is not going to go over well, I'm sure, but I think a lot of, especially military spouses, always want to be told that they're so strong because they deal with so much. Like, oh, he deploys or she deploys or you this and that. And like, I never felt the need to hear that because I knew what was going on. That wasn't important to me. But the only thing that I truly care about is knowing that he's got my back, I got his. Mm-hmm. Like in the end, the whole world, I can shut them out because I don't need it. I just need the little bit that we made. Like you don't get to pick your parents or, even your own children, but you get to pick one person in this world for yourself, and that's your spouse.
Yeah.
And regardless of, we said that we would love each other through the good and the bad.
Oh, yeah. I think it's a prime example of loving each other through it all,
Yeah. Oh. But, I just think that we're not always easy to love, and when people ask me why I stayed and fought through it, and all I can say is I loved him more than I loved anything else. It was more important to me to make sure he was okay. And even when he's not, you just got kind of like, I love him through it. Like, and he does the same for me. Sometimes we're not easy.
Yeah. And that's okay. I mean, we're not perfect.
No.
But you guys have the tools to meet each other where you're at and love each other where you're at and just work through it.
Yeah.
And that's the difference is you're willing to communicate, talk, love each other through it. And all right, let's go. Let's do it. I don't like you right now. I still love you, but I really don't like you right now.
I've said that many times before. I will love you forever. Right now, I don't like you very much. I want to throw my shoe at you, but domestic violence is against the law, so I will not.
Well, I got to commend you because getting in the profession, I don't want to say it's a profession, getting in the dog fight of mental health and I told Tom, I'm like, this is the pandemic. Mental health issues.
Oh, 100%.
It's not COVID. It's not all this other BS the government wants you to. Yes, it was real before somebody goes down my throat. Yes, I've lost people to it. Yes, I've had it. Okay, that's out of the way. All the other crap that the government forces down our throats to believe and to whatever. The real pandemic is mental health.
Absolutely.
No.
How many people do we lose every day to it? And we're not talking about that all the time, are we?
Right. Yeah. And that's the whole point of, that's why we're called 2200 tabs. We lose 22 veterans a day to suicide, if not more. The zeros, because that's our goal, is to get to 0 and taps to honor the ones that we've lost and continue to lose. That's what that means. And
go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, when I look back at it and I remember him being at Walter Reed and everything. I'm not saying that it was all the nurses, but I felt like a lot of them really were just med passes. Like they just went there and they were the med pass, and that was good enough. And as I told you before we started, right now I do work in a psych ward, and I don't ever want to be the person who only cares about passing the meds. Like sometimes they're violent. You have to deal with stuff that you don't always want to deal with.
Yeah.
But somebody needs to do it. And I want to be a better nurse than some of the ones that I've seen. I want to be a better wife. I want to be a better mother, all that. But I want to be a better nurse because I watched Tommy go through stuff that he went through. And I watch some of my patients now and I'm like, this is bullshit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
I'm sorry. There's got to be a better answer than ketamine, Haldol, and Ativan.
Yeah, that's only masking the problem. That's not taking care of it.
No.
It's
making them drowsy.
Yeah. And the side effects are doing the very thing that we're trying not to make happen.
Exactly. We're enhancing them.
How does this work? Oh, side effects. Suicidal ideation. Oh, all right. Well, F you, I'm not taking them.
One of the smartest things, and this is not agreed with heavily at work, but one of the best things that I think that they started doing is we cannot put a patient in restraints. It is now a prescription, and I have to get a doctor to tell me that I can put you in restraints. And I think it's one of the best things that we've done because while it can be more dangerous for us, again, I'm a run towards the fire person and I'm pretty good at getting them calm for the most part.
Yeah.
If I can do that without having to restrain them and put them through more, I would rather do it that way.
Yeah.
I'm glad that I can buy that time. Like, okay, you go ahead and try and get that prescription from the doctor. But right now I'm going to talk.
I think that's important because as you were saying that, I just realized something pretty significant that I feel like the psych wards, especially, I'm going to call them out, they overlook. People are in the psych ward because there's some form of mental distress caused by something that happened, traumatic. Enlighten me for a second. Somebody gets sexually assaulted when they're younger, raped, this, that, held down, forced down, right? They're freaking out. Oh, you got to go to a psych ward because now you're suicidal, this and that. The one thing you don't want to do to people that were forced down and held
is to force them to do something else.
Is to restrain them.
Yeah.
They tell you not to grab their wrist. Don't encircle it. You're re-traumatizing them. Oh, well, now you're being an asshole. Now we got to shoot you up with this shot and keep you locked up for 2 weeks. I'm like, bro, like you see where I'm going with this? It's like,
I 100% understand.
So it's like I feel like they're re-traumatizing a lot of people. Yes, some need it. Some absolutely need it because not everybody's been sexually assaulted or whatever. I get that.
Right.
However, the ones that have, bro, that's where I'm like, I feel like the system's already broken for so many reasons. And we need people like you who they're like, dude, take the cuffs off. I'll be in the same room with them.
Right.
What do you?
That's exactly how I am.
What do you need?
because I remember when he had me handcuffed. To this day, if you pulled out a pair of handcuffs or something like a zip tie or something that would restrain me, I will break out in a sweat. Like I will do everything in my power to not have to put those 4-point restraints on a hospital bed because I just if I can get around it, if I can get you through that, I would rather do it that way because it is, you're right. Because I don't know what got them to that point usually. When they're coming into me, they're already strapped down on a gurney and everything, and EMS is bringing them in. I don't know what's going on.
Right.
And the same thing happened to Tom. Like he was taken someplace and they didn't know everything that he'd gone through and they kept him tied down. And how does that help you? Like you said, the last thing that you needed in that moment was to be held down again against your will.
Yeah.
And nobody was listening to you. I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be that person. I want to sit there and I want to hold your hand and tell you to keep going and say, what do you need so that I can keep you going? I don't want to, I don't ever want to be the person who's like, all right, just bring me the Ativan. We're going to do this.
Yeah.
I want to know that I want, especially people in our situation, to know that there's other ways.
There are.
There's a lot of other ways.
You know what I hear as you tell me this, and because we're still on this a pretty deep topic, I almost wonder if you being there, telling them, I'm going to listen, don't restrain them, in metaphorically, in a sense, is actually helping you heal from your trauma.
I think it has.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't really think about it when I'm there and doing it, but I definitely think that people always think it sounds funny, but in a way, I feel like it was kind of a gift. It was a terrible thing that happened.
Yeah.
And I would never want to go through it again or anybody else to have to go through it. But it showed me that I am a hell of a lot stronger than I ever knew I was. And it showed me that everything that I thought I wanted was completely different. Mm-hmm. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think we all kind of like, sometimes something bad happens to you and you're so busy looking at the bad part that you can't see the good.
Yeah.
There's a reason sometimes I think that some of us have to go through that. And I think that with me, I was fortunate because I found a purpose.
I was just going to say that. You found purpose in your story.
Mm-hmm.
You found purpose in your story. And I think at the end of the day, that's the goal.
Yeah.
Like we don't want, I wouldn't want that to happen to you or anybody. Yeah. And we just met not even an hour ago. And I'm like, no, I wouldn't want that, or,
right.
or anybody for that matter.
Mm-mm.
But we go through our stuff. How do we come out of it? Well,
exactly.
We're going to be traumatized. We're going to have to go through a lot of hey, therapy's cool. Let me just tell you that.
No, therapy, you are 10 times stronger if you admit that you need to go to therapy than trying to push it through on your own.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't work. But therapy does. Or just somebody safe that you can, like what we're doing. Mm-hmm. We're just talking through it. This right here, guys, is, we're not therapists. I'm not saying we are. I'm not trying to be a therapist or diagnose anybody with anything. Let me get that straight. Yeah. Having these conversations, legit, this is what therapy looks like. You're just talking.
100%.
You're just talking.
100%.
And
sometimes, and I think that that's important. I think that it's nice to know that you have somebody that you can do that to. Like,
totally.
If you ever need something and you just want to talk and you're like, hey, I'm going to call her. I would talk to you. I would talk to you for however long you need it. I wouldn't talk. I'd listen. But I would let you tell me whatever you needed to tell me so that you could get to the point where you were even feeling a little bit better.
Yeah.
Because you need that. I think that it's saying, I need you is so much stronger than being like, oh, I can do it. I can do it all.
No.
Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Mm-hmm. Everybody needs help.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody. Think about it.
We don't fight wars with one guy.
We fight wars with 0.
Got to send a whole bunch of people in there to do it. Why would we fight this alone?
Yep.
We could just convince the bigger picture, the people with those big fancy pieces of paper on their wall, that their way is not the only way.
No, just because it's written in a textbook doesn't mean it's the only way. You got to get people like us, people that don't have, people that they do the studies on.
Right.
You know, like I don't care about your scientific data or percentage or your placebo effect or your studies. I don't give a shit about that. What I give a shit about are these intimate conversations.
Yeah.
What's going to come out of that? Take your brain, your logic brain off and put your heart in the mix.
Exactly.
You know? And dude, I get it.
Put it in a sticky note.
The sticky notes.
Yeah. Put it in a sticky note.
Throw a sticky note on that first page. Be like, close this book.
For all my teachers and everything, I make these cups like these. I put funny little things on them. I'll have to make one for you. That's a sticky note that says, put a sticky note on it.
I'll take it. I'll happily take it. Well, I got to tell you, I feel like I could talk to you for hours. I really do. Because we are walking side by side in this mission. And it's not a veteran issue. It's not a whatever issue. It is a human issue. If you are breathing, you've got, you're walking upright, breathing. It doesn't matter. This is an issue for all of us. And it takes a dynamic of different types of people to fight this together.
Yeah. How
you get there is where it gets muddy. But when you get there, it's pretty damn special.
Yeah.
And we can't do it by ourselves.
Yeah. So, and we shouldn't have to.
No, I've lost a lot of people to suicide. I got very close myself. I'm tired of burying friends kind of thing. It's starting to get to that point where I'm starting to say that. And I hate saying that. I buried one this past summer again. I'm just like this. I can't do this. No, thank you. And that wrecked a lot of us. So it's up to us, man. It's up to us to put our heads down and be there for people.
22 to none.
22 to none.
We can hope. I would take it even just a little bit down anymore. I'm at a point now where I just wish that we could see the number fall a little.
Yeah, it's definitely not at 22 anymore. It's definitely higher.
Yeah.
We're definitely going the wrong way in the pendulum.
I know. And it makes me sad because I think the people like us that are out there sharing our lived experience, we need to fight a little bit harder for ourselves, because I think that we're the ones that are going to make the impact. I don't think it's sitting there in a doctor's office all the time. I think that it's hearing our stories and, how we're trying to recover from those things. And recovery is a long thing. It doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
I just think that we need to stop bearing the burden of embarrassment and realize that it's okay. It's not weakness. And we can all help each other get through it.
Yep. It's okay to not be okay.
It's always okay to not be okay. It's even more okay to say that you're not okay.
On a sticky note.
On a sticky note. There you go. It's okay to say you're not okay. Mm-hmm. Sticky note. Well, just so you know, though, sometimes that helps. Like, if you see that one of your friends or somebody's having a bad day, sometimes a sticky note out. I'm telling you, it works.
We need to patent that. We'll figure it out before we release this episode.
Oh my goodness. I don't know.
Oh my God. Well, Heather, thank you so much. I think we're good to wrap up here in a minute.
Okay.
Thank you so much for being on. Seriously.
Thank you for having me.
It's been a joy.
You ever want to talk again or whatever, you let me know.
Totally. Well, when you get down here, we're all going to have to go out to dinner or something.
Absolutely.
We have to. We got to just talk through the mayhem and get you connected with some more amazing people down here that we're all affiliated with, and organizations, of course. And just, yeah, I think it'd be good. It'd be a lot of fun. But before I let you go, is there anything I haven't asked you that you want the listeners to know? And also, where can people find you if you have a page or something?
I do not. Usually people go to Tom and then he's like, oh, my wife can do this.
Okay.
But I have just a regular Yahoo address, and this is real easy. Heather Cruz, CRUZ 1975 at yahoo.com.
Oh, married to Tom Cruise.
The real one.
The real one, not the actor.
No. I do call him Maverick sometimes.
Do you call him Maverick? Oh boy.
I do sometimes.
I'm gonna have to get him a little flight jacket or something. Show up with a little bomber jacket.
I bought Holden a Top Gun t-shirt for Christmas, and he was just like, really?
Yeah, he's like over it. He's only 10 and he's over it.
Everybody. He's like, I know, my dad's name's Tom Cruise. It's so funny. Haha.
I know, I'm Goose. Whatever.
Right.
Well, Heather, thank you again so much. It's been a joy. I'm going to sign off with my listeners. Just hang tight, and we'll catch up here before we say goodbye for good today. Is that cool?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, guys, there you had it. And holy crap, I am a much better person after this interview. I'll tell you that. And I can't wait to get connected. Can't wait for y'all to get connected. Make sure you like, subscribe, do all that stuff that makes you YouTube famous and whatever else famous. And yeah, dude, if you want to get connected with Heather, I'm sure I can get you connected with her and spouses or people or whoever. And yeah, so stick around. We got another cool episode coming up very soon. I cannot wait for you guys to figure out who's coming up next. But until then, peace.